My mom always excused my younger brother's bad behavior, but when he destroyed my wedding dress worth $8,000 that I saved up for 2 years, she expected me to forgive him, but then my dad stepped in and what he did next left everyone speechless. I, 26F, need some advice about a situation that's tearing my family apart. My wedding was supposed to be next month, but now everything's ruined because of what my younger brother Tommy, 19M, did, and I don't know how to handle this anymore. Some background that's important to understand this situation: Tommy has always been my mom's favorite, and I mean that in the most obvious way possible. Our family photos tell the whole story, hundreds of pictures of Tommy's activities, sports games, and school events, while I'm lucky if I show up in the background. Growing up, it was clear that mom had different rules and expectations for us. While I was expected to maintain perfect grades, do chores, and basically raise myself, Tommy was treated like a precious prince who could do no wrong. Ever since he was born, she's excused every single bad thing he's ever done. When we were kids, he would break my toys, and mom would say he's just playing. When he ruined my art projects for school, she'd say he's just curious. When he deliberately deleted my college application essays from our shared computer, she claimed he didn't mean to and that I should have backed them up. Dad tried to discipline him, but mom would always intervene and coddle him. The problem is, Tommy never grew out of this behavior, and it only escalated as we got older. By high school, his actions went far beyond just breaking things. He would throw massive parties when our parents were away, completely trashing the house, but mom would just laugh it off as boys being boys. When he got caught cheating on his finals, mom went to the school and somehow convinced them to give him another chance, while I got grounded for a B in chemistry. He totaled 2 cars by driving recklessly, and each time, mom bought him a new one while telling me I needed to be more understanding of his stress. If anything, it got worse because he never faced consequences. He dropped out of college after 1 semester because it wasn't for him, and now he just lives at home, playing video games all day while mom serves him meals in his room. She still gives him an allowance even though he's 19 and perfectly capable of working. Now for the current situation that finally broke me. I've been saving up for my dream wedding dress for 2 years, working extra shifts at the hospital where I'm a nurse. Every time I had to miss a friend's birthday or cancel plans because I was picking up another night shift, I reminded myself it would be worth it. The dress was everything I'd ever dreamed of, a beautiful vintage-inspired gown with hand-beaded details and the kind of intricate lacework you just don't see anymore. When I finally found it at a boutique in the city, I actually cried in the fitting room. The owner told me it was a unique piece, and when I put down the deposit, I felt like all those extra hours had finally paid off. It cost $8,000, which I know sounds crazy, but it was absolutely perfect. I had to work overtime and weekends to afford it, but it was worth every penny. The dress was being kept at my parents' house because my fiancé is traditional and didn't want to see it before the wedding. 4 weeks before my wedding, I got a call from my mom. She was crying and telling me I needed to come over immediately. When I got there, my heart stopped. The dress was laid out on the living room floor like some kind of twisted art display. The black paint hadn't just been splashed on randomly, Tommy had deliberately painted crude words and symbols all over the delicate lace. The holes weren't just cuts. He'd taken scissors and methodically shredded every single hand-beaded panel, leaving the tiny crystals scattered across the floor like tears. The intricate vintage buttons down the back, which the boutique owner had told me came from a 1920s Parisian atelier, had been ripped off and stomped on. Even the custom preservation box I'd bought to keep it safe had been destroyed, torn apart and used to soak up excess paint. The worst part wasn't even the dress itself, it was the look on Tommy's face as he stood there watching my reaction. He had this slight smirk, the same one he'd worn when he destroyed my art projects or deleted my essays. But there was something different this time, something darker. It was like he'd known exactly how much this would hurt me and had enjoyed every minute of planning it. The boutique owner's words kept echoing in my head: "This dress is one of a kind. Once it's gone, you'll never find another quite like it." She had no idea how prophetic those words would turn out to be. Tommy had apparently gotten angry because mom asked him to clean his room for once, so he decided to take it out on my dress. Here's where things get even worse, and I mean truly nightmarish. Instead of being angry at Tommy, or showing even the slightest understanding of what he destroyed, my mom was begging me to forgive him. She said he was going through a hard time and that I was being selfish for not understanding. She even suggested I just buy another dress or wear something simpler. When I started crying, she told me I was being dramatic and that it's just a dress. I completely lost it. I screamed at both of them and told them I was done with their toxic behavior. Tommy just stood there with this smug look on his face, not even pretending to be sorry. Mom kept defending him and saying I was overreacting. I called the police to file a report for property damage, which made my mom hysterical. She couldn't believe I would do this to my own brother. My dad wasn't home when this happened, but when he found out, he was livid. For the first time ever, he didn't back down when mom tried to minimize what Tommy had done. He told Tommy he had 24 hours to pack his things and get out. Mom started crying and saying dad couldn't do this to her baby, but dad stood firm. That was 3 weeks before the wedding date. Tommy is now staying with our aunt, Mom's sister, who's also taking his side. Mom hasn't spoken to Dad or me since then. She's been posting passive-aggressive things on Facebook about how family should always forgive family and how some people don't understand a mother's love. The wedding is supposed to be in 4 weeks, and I don't even have a dress anymore. Mom is threatening not to come if I don't drop the charges against Tommy and forgive him. Half the family is taking her side, saying I'm tearing the family apart over just a dress. The other half supports me but thinks I should still try to make peace for the sake of family harmony. I don't know what to do anymore. Should I just give in to keep the peace? Am I really overreacting about just a dress? Please help me figure this out. Update 1. Thank you all for your supportive comments and advice. A lot has happened in the past week, and I wanted to share some updates with you. First, I want to address something many of you pointed out. This was never about just a dress. It's about years of enabling behavior and lack of consequences. You helped me see that clearly, and I'm grateful for it. The police took my report seriously, especially since I had documentation of the dress's value and clear evidence of deliberate destruction. Tommy is being charged with felony property damage since the value exceeds $5,000. When he found out how serious the charges were, he finally dropped his smug attitude and started panicking. My mom showed up at my apartment yesterday, crying and begging me to drop the charges. She brought up everything from "but he's your brother" to "this will ruin his future." I stood firm and told her that Tommy ruined his own future when he decided to destroy something I worked so hard for. She left angry, saying I was dead to her. What really surprised me was my dad's response to all this. He came to see me separately and told me something I never knew. Apparently, this wasn't the first time Tommy had destroyed something valuable. 3 years ago, he had vandalized Dad's classic car that he'd been restoring for years, but Mom convinced Dad to keep it quiet and paid for repairs from her personal savings. Dad said he regrets giving in then because it only encouraged Tommy's behavior. Dad also did something incredible. He withdrew money from his retirement fund and gave me a check for $10,000 to get a new dress. I tried to refuse, but he insisted, saying he should have stood up to Mom's enabling years ago, and this was his way of making it right. I broke down crying when he gave me the check. The most shocking development came from my aunt, Dad's sister. She's a pretty successful business owner and has always been one of my favorite relatives. When she heard what happened, she called me and offered to help me find a new dress. She took me shopping yesterday, and we actually found something even more beautiful than my original dress. Aunt Sarah not only paid for it but also upgraded several other aspects of my wedding as a gift. As for Tommy, he's still staying with Mom's sister, but things aren't going well there either. Apparently, he tried his usual tactics of manipulation and destruction when she asked him to follow house rules, but unlike Mom, Aunt Linda wasn't having it. She gave him an ultimatum: either he gets a job and starts therapy, or he needs to find somewhere else to live. The wedding is still on, though the guest list has changed significantly. Mom and her side of the family won't be attending, but honestly, I'm feeling more relieved than sad about that. Dad will be walking me down the aisle, and the people who truly care about me will be there. Update 2. In the week leading up to the wedding, and the situation has evolved in ways I never expected. Tommy's court date was yesterday, and I almost didn't go. The thought of facing him and Mom in court made me physically ill, but my fiancé reminded me that I needed to see this through. When I walked into the courthouse, I was surprised to see how many family members had shown up. Even relatives I hadn't seen in years were there, some to support me, others presumably to support Tommy. The tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Mom sat in the front row, dressed all in black like she was at a funeral, shooting me accusatory glances. Tommy, however, looked different. Gone was his usual cocky demeanor. He looked smaller somehow, vulnerable even. When the charges were read out, detailing the deliberate destruction of property and the premeditated nature of his actions, something unexpected happened. During the hearing, he broke down completely. Not in the manipulative way he usually does when he wants to avoid consequences, but genuinely. He admitted to everything, including several past incidents of vandalism that we didn't even know about. The judge was actually pretty fair. Given that this was Tommy's first official offense, thanks to Mom's years of covering things up, he was offered a deal: no jail time, but he has to pay full restitution, complete 500 hours of community service, undergo mandatory therapy, and maintain either full-time employment or return to school. If he violates any of these conditions, he faces jail time. The most surprising part came after the hearing. Tommy asked to speak with me privately. For the first time in his life, he actually seemed genuinely remorseful. He told me that being away from Mom's influence these past weeks has made him realize how messed up his behavior has been. He's been seeing a therapist, Aunt Linda's condition for letting him stay, and apparently, it's helping him understand the impact of his actions. He broke down crying and told me he knows he doesn't deserve forgiveness, but he wanted me to know he's truly sorry and will spend however long it takes to make it right. He's already gotten a job at a local warehouse and enrolled in community college for the upcoming semester. Mom's reaction to all this has been predictably dramatic. When she found out Tommy was taking responsibility and admitting fault, she had a complete meltdown. She showed up at Aunt Linda's house, screaming about how we've all turned her baby against her. It got so bad that Aunt Linda had to call the police to have her removed. Dad has been amazing through all of this, and watching him transform has been incredible. After years of walking on eggshells around Mom's emotional manipulation, he's finally finding his voice. His therapist helped him understand how his passive role in my childhood had contributed to the dysfunction, and he's been working hard to make amends. Just last week, he surprised me by bringing over boxes of old photos and home videos he'd found in the attic. We spent hours going through them, and he pointed out all the times he should have stood up for me but didn't. He had tears in his eyes as he showed me a video from my high school graduation. Mom had made such a fuss about Tommy being bored that they left right after my name was called, missing my valedictorian speech. Dad confessed that he'd secretly recorded the whole thing and had kept it all these years, too afraid of Mom's reaction to ever show me. The changes in him go beyond just our relationship. He's started reconnecting with old friends Mom had pushed away over the years. He's taken up golf again, something he'd given up because Mom said it took too much time away from Tommy. Last month, he even started seeing a financial advisor to untangle his accounts from Mom's control. It's like watching someone come back to life after being in a decades-long fog. He's finally in therapy himself, working through years of enabling behavior and guilt. He and I have grown so much closer, and our relationship is stronger than ever. He's even started dating again, which is nice to see. The wedding is in 3 days, and everything is finally coming together. My new dress is absolutely perfect, and I'm surrounded by people who truly support me. Tommy won't be attending. He offered to stay away to avoid causing any additional stress, but he sent me a heartfelt letter and his first restitution payment with a promise to pay back every cent, even if it takes years. Mom is still posting dramatic things on Facebook about being abandoned by her family, but fewer and fewer people are engaging with her posts. Several relatives have reached out to me privately to apologize for initially taking her side, saying they can now see the pattern of toxic behavior they were enabling. Final update: the wedding was yesterday, and despite all the drama leading up to it, or maybe because of it, it turned out to be more meaningful than I could have ever imagined. The morning started with my bridesmaids surrounding me with so much love and support, each one of them having stood by me through this whole ordeal. My best friend Jessica had secretly arranged for all my hospital colleagues to send video messages of support, which had me in tears before we even started hair and makeup. The ceremony itself was a testament to what real family means. The church was packed, not with people who felt obligated to be there, but with those who had actively chosen to support us. Dad was so nervous walking me down the aisle that his hands were shaking, but his eyes were filled with pride. When he lifted my veil and kissed my cheek, he whispered, "I'm so sorry for all the years I didn't protect you, but I promise to spend the rest of my life making up for it." The empty seats where Mom and her side of the family should have been didn't feel like gaps, they felt like a weight lifted. Instead of their toxic presence, we were surrounded by genuine love and support. My mother-in-law had stepped in to help with all the traditional mother of the bride duties, and seeing her beaming face in the front row meant more than I can express. Everything went smoothly, and I was surrounded by people who genuinely love and support me. Dad walked me down the aisle with tears in his eyes, and his speech at the reception had everyone crying, in a good way. Tommy has been making steady progress, and for the first time in his life, it seems genuine. His therapist sent me a letter, with Tommy's permission, explaining that they've been working through deep-seated issues stemming from Mom's unhealthy attachment and enabling behavior. He's been diagnosed with several conditions that went untreated for years because Mom refused to acknowledge any problems, instead choosing to shield him from all consequences. The warehouse job has been good for him. His supervisor called me last week to say that Tommy has been their most reliable new hire in years. He's also started taking business classes at the community college, and apparently, he's making straight A's. The irony isn't lost on me that only now, without Mom's suffocating protection, is he finally starting to thrive. Last weekend, he did something that showed me just how much he's changed. He sold his gaming systems, the ones Mom had bought him over the years, probably worth thousands, and sent me the money as an additional restitution payment. His note said that he needed to learn to live without the crutches Mom had always provided. He's a month into his community service, working full-time, and attending therapy regularly. His therapist suggested maintaining distance for now while he works on himself, which I appreciate. He's sent me 3 restitution payments already, each with a thoughtful letter about his progress. Mom didn't try to crash the wedding as some had feared, but she did send a huge email to the entire family the night before, full of accusations and self-pity. Most people just ignored it. Dad says she's talking about moving across the country to get away from all the betrayal. Honestly, that might be best for everyone. The most unexpected outcome of all this has been the profound healing in other family relationships. My cousins Emma and Sarah confessed that they'd stopped coming to family events years ago because of Mom's manipulation and Tommy's behavior, but now they're back in my life and it feels like we're making up for lost time. Dad's side of the family, who'd always been kept at arm's length by Mom's controlling nature, have become incredibly close and supportive. Even my grandfather, who rarely speaks about emotional matters, pulled me aside at the wedding to tell me how proud he was of me for standing up for myself. What started as a horrible act of destruction has somehow led to the rebuilding of relationships I thought were lost forever. It's strange how sometimes the worst moments in our lives can lead to the most beautiful transformations. While I would never have chosen for things to happen this way, I'm grateful for the clarity and strength this experience has given me. Throughout this whole ordeal, my new husband has been my rock. He's shown me what real family support looks like, and his family has welcomed me with open arms. My mother-in-law even said something that brought me to tears. She told me that while she couldn't replace my mom, she would always be there to provide the maternal love and support I deserved. It was a moment of healing I didn't even know I needed. Without mom's constant drama and manipulation, people are talking more openly and honestly. Several cousins have shared similar stories of moms stirring up trouble over the years, and we're all closer for having worked through it together. I'm heading off on my honeymoon tomorrow, finally able to close this difficult chapter of my life. My new husband and I are going to the Maldives, a destination I'd never even dreamed of until my Aunt Sarah surprised us by upgrading our modest beach vacation as a wedding gift. As I pack my suitcase, I keep finding little notes of encouragement that my bridesmaids secretly tucked into my things during the wedding preparations. Each one reminds me that family isn't just about blood, it's about who shows up for you when it really matters. The journey to this point has been painful, but it's also been incredibly enlightening. I've learned that sometimes the hardest choices, like standing up to toxic family members and refusing to accept abuse, are also the most necessary ones. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's an act of self-preservation and, ultimately, self-love. To anyone dealing with similar family dynamics, don't let anyone gaslight you into accepting mistreatment as normal. Don't let them convince you that family loyalty means being a perpetual victim. Real family lifts you up, supports your growth, and respects your boundaries. They don't demand you set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And if your blood relatives can't be that kind of family for you, know that it's okay to create your own family from people who truly love and support you. As I start this new chapter of my life, I'm grateful for the clarity this experience has given me, even though the path to get here was harder than I ever imagined. Sometimes the most beautiful transformations come from the most painful circumstances, and while I would never have chosen for things to happen this way, I'm at peace with where I've ended up. Update: 1 week later from honeymoon. I wasn't planning to add anything else to this story, but something happened that I feel is important to share. Yesterday, while enjoying breakfast on our overwater villa deck, I received an email from Tommy's therapist, sent with his permission. She shared that Tommy has been using my story, the full, unvarnished truth about his actions and their impact, as part of his therapy process. He's been reading it to his support group, taking full responsibility without any of mom's excuses or minimizing. The therapist said it's been a breakthrough moment for him, finally seeing his actions through others' eyes. The email included a letter from Tommy, but I haven't opened it yet. It's sitting in my inbox, and for now, that's where it will stay. Part of my healing process is learning that I don't have to respond to everything immediately, that it's okay to take time to protect my peace and process things at my own pace. When I'm ready, I'll read it. But for now, I'm focusing on my new life, my supportive husband, and the beautiful family we're building, not the one I was born into, but the one I've chosen, the one that chooses me back every single day.